Happy Thursday. Welcome back to the Wolff Den presented by Winnigan Academy. Mark Moyer doing some great things with his networking events in the club room. We're actually putting together one for Tuesday night, October 5th. Check out our social media and for more details, but it's going to be a great event put on by Ticket Time Machine and Winnigan Academy. I'm Matt Wolff, founder and CEO of Ticket Time Machine. Today we have Andrew Seymour in the Wolff Den. Andrew, welcome to the show. How's everything going?
Going great. Pleased to be with you. Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, so I usually let my guests introduce themselves, but I'm specifically going to let you introduce yourself in a way because when I introduced you in the previous post, I didn't exactly have it correct. So tell everybody who doesn't know who you are, and then we'll get into everything.
Well, you're too generous. You're basically my hype man. You gave me a promotion overnight that I didn't know about, but I read about it online. It was exciting. Yeah. But no, I'm the general manager of the Palm Beach Cardinals, which is a minor league affiliate of St. Louis Cardinals, the red hot St. Louis Cardinals. And we play over here at Roger Dean Chevrolet Stadium. And shucks, we run a fun year-round operation right here. And amongst my teammates here, we had a wealth of things. And, you know, like I said, you were kind. You gave me a nice title. But I'm the assistant general manager of Roger Dean Chevrolet Stadium. Beautiful Roger Dean Chevrolet Stadium, I like.
Yeah. So, and it's going to be one of those promotions that you get promoted, but you get nothing for it, right? Just more work. You get more work. They don't pay you more. Everything's the same, but they give you more work.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, I work in an adult playground. It's a lot of fun out here. My backdrop's a playing field. I mean, yeah, other than my disheveled office right behind me right here and the bad hair, it's what I live every day. I mean, I've got a great view of a fun
I was going to show you my bad hair, but then I'm like, we're talking baseball today, so let me get on my Ticket Time Machine baseball hat, my Ticket Time Machine jersey, and let's talk baseball. We're right in the thick of things. I want to, we're going to start off with the Cardinals. 16 games in a row. They finally got beat. 16 games in a row, crazy, and they're still 7 games back. You know, the Brewers clinched the division.
Right,
it's nuts to me. And then you think about what's going on in the West, the Giants and Dodgers battling it out, and you're going to have 103 or 4 team win team have to play a 1-game wild card to see if they can make the playoffs. That's baseball for you, right?
Oh man, what a fun run! I mean, I've forgotten. I heard the date, and I should know this, but anyway, it's the September date when they last lost before last night. But I mean, a heck of a run. And listen, it's far from over. Like you said, already clinched a wild card berth. Exciting September, and it's fun to be talking baseball on the last day of September and being in contention, having a sense of hope and. It's a great time. And by the way, great outfit, man. I love the top. I love the hat. Love the uniform. Way to go.
Yeah. Well, we're going to get into the Palm Beach Cardinals, and we're going to get into minor league baseball a lot. How does Major League Baseball help you? How does the Cardinals winning 16, 17 games in a row, getting into the playoffs, which they're going to make, I think, right? Are they going to make the playoffs?
Yeah. So with that 17-game run, on the 17th win, I believe it was the date of the 17 wins when they clinched the wild card spot, and they're going to play against either San Francisco or Los Angeles, the Dodgers, on what looks to be the 6th of October, which would be Wednesday.
But how does that help you that they're doing well?
Oh, you know something? Anytime you're a topic of conversation and you're in contention and you've got that sense of hope, which spring training, in my opinion, is always about. But going to here and now, whenever you've got that sense of hope, it's exciting. You've got a great talking point. You've got eyeballs on your club. And again, a sense of excitement and hope. Yeah.
It's interesting because Major League Baseball and minor league baseball, they're so intertwined, but yet it's such a different world. Right.
Yes.
Because if I'm a minor league baseball team, and there's all different kinds, you got a team that's an affiliate like you guys are affiliates of major league teams. And you got teams like the Savannah Bananas who are not affiliated with anyone.
Right.
Does it matter? It might sound like a dumb question, but does it really matter if you guys win, the Palm Beach Cardinals? Does it matter if they win?
Well, listen, testament to that. We didn't have a lot of luck on the wins and losses ledger this year. But you know what? I just was looking over our attendance numbers, and we had a nice little number. So to answer your question wholeheartedly, no, it doesn't. We here, myself, my teammates, our our goal really is to provide quality entertainment. We've got, like I said, I mentioned before, we got this beautiful venue at street level right in the heart of the community. And I work luckily with some great fun people, some creative minds. And listen, the product on the field, that'll take care of itself. What we try to control is the environment around that. Everything outside of the playing field, we try to control that. So when you come in, hey man, how's the atmosphere? How's the music? How's the energy? How's the ebb and flow? That type of thing. We try to keep it one where it's safe, affordable, friendly, and one when you leave, you say, hey, you know what? I had a good time and I don't even know who won. I mean, that's what I call invested interest. Yeah. So again, the outcome of the game is really not of consequence to you. You kind of came out to a carnival-like atmosphere to compare it to the Savannah Bananas with, oh, by the way, there's a baseball game in the middle of it.
Yeah, and the interesting thing about that when you talk about wins and losses is you have zero control over what your team looks like.
Right. We get assigned the team at the beginning of the year. Our goal is to make these guys feel at home, have them on a normal year be a integral part of the community, whether it's out at civic events, high schools, elementary schools, whatever ribbon cutting it might be. Just have the players integrated into our community, one that we ask a lot of. Like I said, on a normal year, that was unique this year whereby we didn't have that kind of interaction. But yeah, I mean, you get assigned your team. You promote the human interest stories. Like, listen, Matt, if there was a University of Florida player, I'd go right to your heart and tell you, hey, this guy's on our team. You got to come out and see him. I know you're a Gator alum, or this guy might be a New Jersey Devils fan. I'll tell you those human interest stories to try to, play to your heart. But other than that, the rest of it is the players make a name for themselves. Fans can really very quickly pick out the guys that are really engaged and gregarious with the audience, and they're the ones that they'll usually navigate to. The kids, they'll always pick out a favorite. They'll pick out a player, and they'll find a good affinity for that player, and that usually that connection's there because it's a two-way street, right? So a lot of fun out here, and again, we can control, and hopefully you've been assigned a team that's exciting and at least hey, gives you a good effort night in and night out.
Yeah, it's interesting because. Like, it doesn't really matter if you win. You can't even control if you win because of the players. But the players on the field, they want to win because they need to play well enough to get promoted. And so the better the team does, the better these players do, the better chance that they're going to be leaving your team eventually, whether it's a midseason call-up or a postseason call-up. So it's just it's fun. Yeah. It's supposed to be fun. And when you're out there, we talk about the Savannah Bananas. And actually, I forgot to bring my other one. So this is in true Wolff Den fashion. We go off screen because what I want to do is we'll do some show and tell real quickly. This is something that I purchased from the Myrtle Beach Pelicans.
Yes.
They had a promotion where they were like, buy this beer and you get to keep this. And I didn't even go to the game. I just saw it on Twitter and I'm like, this thing is awesome. I need to have one of these.
Right. I remember talking to you about that. It's almost a keepsake. Those were so popular. We made an effort to get those. Jamie Toole, one of our great guys over here, just an enigmatic, fun guy. He tried to order those, and the supply chain was so backloaded. And he was on the cusp, as he always is, and we still couldn't get them here in good time. We had them hopefully arriving for a July 3rd, July 4th arrival date. And again, it couldn't be facilitated. But listen, I'm glad you brought those up. And Ryan Moore and his team out there with Myrtle Beach did a really nice job of having some fun with that.
Do you know how long it took me to get this? It was like months. That's what you're saying. It was months until after. I'm a promotions kind of guy. Full disclosure, whenever I go to a Marlins game, they're probably giving away something.
Right.
And so to that end, I was at your stadium.
Yes, sir.
Dontrell Willis night, and they were giving away bobbleheads. And my friend and I, we probably bought like 10 tickets and kept going in and out because it was so cheap. And it was like, our friends all wanted them. It's one of my favorite bobbleheads. But let's talk about this. There's probably a lot of misconception about minor league baseball and Major League Baseball. You guys are there to get fans in the stands, and the way you do it primarily is with your promotions and your entertainment. And you've been a part of 10 plus teams that have won, and I've the Larry, I forget what the heck the name of it is because I'm terrible at I don't
Now listen, I'll brag. It's the Larry McPhail Award. It's one that it's a team award, and I'm so proud of the teams that I've been involved with and the people there that have headed that up, and that's such a great feeling when we win that McPhail Award, and it's one where you're recognized for the leader in the area of promotions and customer service.
But that's about a good. I mean, that's the Heisman Trophy for a minor league baseball team, is to be recognized for the promotions that they have.
Yeah, it is. It's a silly little bragging rights, but it is, and I'm telling you, it really is. And if you don't mind me going on a quick tangent, I learned from a gentleman. He's basically the circus orchestrator. He might even say that himself, but his name is Mike Veck, and Mike always taught us, and I see it all the time. Is this game is all about people. It's the people you meet, the people you engage with, the people on the field, the people off the field, and the people you have coming in to watch the action. Anyways, Mike Veck was just a ringleader of fun, and he cared about people. He's still with us. I didn't mean, sorry about that. He cared about people, and he just presided on all of us that I first started with, and I was very lucky. That take care of the people, take care of that fan right in front of you, make them feel like they're the most important person in the ballpark. And, going to what you just said, Matt, is, you came out to a game and you left with a keepsake and it's still on your shelf today. I mean, that Dontrell Willis minor league uniform player, that's fantastic. It's got the sponsor on there. When Lindberghers first came to this market, I went up to them with that bobblehead and showed it to them. And, I'm talking about a guy like Dontrell Willis, who couldn't be any more colorful of a character with an enigmatic smile and those fun things. That's what we're all about, is delivering memories. Again, we can control that, and the memories got to be good. But that's
I got to go off camera again because I don't know why I keep doing this.
You're like a rock star. I mean, back in the day, there were certain trying to think of who it might be, but I'll just compare you to Beyonce, I guess.
This is probably maybe my favorite keepsake that I have. It's a baseball that's signed from a minor league game that I went to, and I have the ticket. I don't have a ticket. I don't think I have a ticket, but I have a roster for that. And this has Tim Tebow.
Oh yeah.
And Pete Alonso.
Oh, that's fantastic. Man, so you got a polar bear on that ball, his nickname, of course, and then you've got the guy who saved the 2017 season throughout our league. I mean, if you were in the red, and listen, let's just be realistic here. There's a lot of times minor league teams can be right around that point. Tim Tebow coming through the league was an absolute lifesaver. He turned around a team I was with in Fort Myers who had a great time, and he made our season go from one where we were doing okay to one where we were all of a sudden doing really nicely. It's
unbelievable. I mean, look, Tim Tebow is Tim Tebow. I don't care what sport he's playing or where he's at. He's always going to have people want his attention, his autographs, take a picture. Yeah. But it was crazy to me because if you start thinking about, let's say, and you're in minor league baseball, let's say you guys sometimes you get lucky and someone gets hurt and they do a rehab stint, right? And they come, and they're just going to get some good attention. You're a major league player. You're a good major league player. Maybe I can name on both hands how many people would get more attention as a major league baseball player who's an all-star than Tim Tebow if they came back to do a stint like that. Not a ton of people who would have been more. And he signed, and he was really nice. But as I'm waiting online at the end, I look over and I see Pete walking around. I'm like, hey, Pete. And nobody knew who the hell he was at the time.
Right, except for you and all your Gators fans.
Yeah, so I'm like, hey, can you sign this? And look, his signature might end up being worth a lot more than Tim's. He's on his way for sure. Great guy. I'd love to have him on the Wolff Den. He does some great things with his Heroes for Homers. He just did an event for some kids the other day, and just a great ambassador for the game. It's really what it is. You want great ambassadors to come through, and there could be a great ambassador who nobody knows of. There's just a minor league player who's out there. He's giving his time to the fans, and they're entertaining. So you just never know who that person's going to be.
I know, right? And if you don't mind me, dovetailing what you said.
We're all about tangents, man. You say whatever is on your mind.
No, it's great. But Matt, it's amazing. Tim Tebow was as advertised. I don't know where he gets the tireless energy. I'm telling you, he treated everybody wonderfully. And he didn't turn it off, or again, I don't know if there was an on-off switch. I never saw the off one. And I felt like, boy, if I could encapsulate the way he carries himself, we'd all be better for it. I mean, I watched him operate, and he just was fantastic. And there are a couple of people, like I said, each market has their own types of stories, but I'll tell you what, we had a guy in Fort Myers when I was there, and I never met him when he was a minor leaguer because that was before me, but Torrey Hunter was that guy, just was so wonderful to all the fans, and you saw it in his exchanges with teammates and even the opposition. They all liked and respected him, and he just carried himself so well. I've been lucky enough. I talk about how it's a people game, and some of the people you meet like that, man, really, really impressive. I was lucky enough too with David Ortiz. He calls everybody Poppy, probably because he forgot everybody's name. But man, you felt like you were the only person in the room when you talked to him. You actually felt like he remembered you, even though he called you Poppy. But some guys like that, it's again, really just good stuff.
I'm going to give a plug to my friend Ellie Lunzer, who did the Ortiz Top Golf event at the Super Bowl in Tampa, and we did some more. I just talked to Ellie today. Hopefully, do some good things at the Super Bowl in LA. But yeah, it's good to hear. Like, it's interesting because I'm not a Yankees fan, but my dad and my brother. My dad was a Yankee fan. My brother's a Yankees fan. And one of my good friends is about as diehard a Yankee fan as I am for the Gators. But I root for the Yankees, and I hate the Red Sox. Like, I don't. If there's a team that you could pick to never win a championship again, they're in my top 10. But when you hear stories about that, like Ortiz and even Nomar, heard some really good stories about Nomar. It's it kind of makes you forget about the rivalry for a moment. But it speaks to I'd like to see Tim Tebow on his off day. I'd like to see him when he's not himself, when he's not. Because I've had a few experiences that have really turned me off. I'll give you a quick story. I ran into RuPaul in LA during the Emmys. And RuPaul drives up on a golf cart with 2 Emmys. Mm-hmm. And I said, Ru, can I get a selfie? No, baby, I got to work. I'm like, it's going to take me 30 seconds to take a selfie. There's no one else around. There's not a group of people. And so it really turned me off to that. I don't know. I did a meet and greet with a band called Little Big Town, and they were not feeling well. One person wasn't feeling well and didn't show up, and the people who were there, it just was a bad experience. And I won't listen to their music anymore. I just won't.
Sure. And I'll parallel that to us, man. That is the memory we do not want any part of creating here. So you come to a game, I want your experience to be one that you walk away and you say, hey, I had a good time. And maybe I'll tell a friend. That's the essence. That's what gets you waking up the next day and say, hey, man, I know why I stayed up late, and I know why I'm coming back to the ballpark early. It's not just because the tarp's on the field. We got to get it off. But it's because you thrive off that energy of the night before when somebody told you, hey, I had a great time, and I'll tell a friend. That is the biggest testimonial you can really get, and it's so gratifying to hear that at the gates.
Yeah, and sometimes, look, maybe they had a bad day. That's fine. I can recognize that. I didn't think these situations were them just having a bad day. I think it's kind of who they are. But no one ever talks about, like, everyone is the nicest person, right? The celebrity and they're the nice. You ever been to a funeral and they'll be like, this guy was an asshole? And that's what I want to say. Like, not everyone is the nicest person. So let's not all elevate these people for, if they're not, that's okay. It's okay for them. They have a job to do. And I get that. But it's a real pleasure when there's someone who doesn't have to be nice to you because they can big time you, and a lot of people big time you, and they just don't. And it's not for some of it's for show, but a lot of it's not for show.
Mm-hmm. I have to jump in, Matt, and mention to you too, as well, as that when you talk about players doing, and you talked about a guy in injury, and opportunity creates itself and whatnot. But, this year we had a number of players coming through doing major league rehabs, and, just 2 of the more notable names come from the same team that sent us Tim Tebow. But the New York Mets had Noah Syndergaard down here for a rehab appearance, and then later Jacob deGrom. And deGrom, both guys were really, really good. deGrom was unbelievable in terms of everything that he signed. It took care of people, and so was Syndergaard, excuse me. But it was just fun. You really felt the impact of those guys, whereas you can't rely on that. You can't just say, hey, because usually that's a 5-minute notification. Hey, well, not 5 minutes, but day of that you learn that the guy's going to do a major league rehab stint that'll impact your ballpark. So you try to get that message out as quick as possible. Anyways, deGrom delivered. He was a gentleman.
It's the numbers that he was putting up they were insane. I don't know. I was talking to my friend who's a big Mets fan. I thought he only pitched like 10 games. My friend thought he pitched like 20. It turns out he pitched about 15. So a good enough sample, but still, it's hard to take that 15. And, if you get lit up one time, your ERA goes from 1.7 to 2.8.
You're right, especially in the 15.
Yeah, if you're at a lower amount of games. So it'd be interesting to see how injuries are tough. It's a tough part, but it's good that you have an experience to go and get these players for you and for the fans.
Right.
Because that's something that's out of your control. You can't plan it, right? You get and it just happens, and it's makes your job easy, right?
Right. That's added value. That's like going to the game and you want something while you're sitting in your seat or, whatever it might be, or there's a double and, you get something at the exit gates.
Now, what in minor league baseball, what's the difference between promoting and marketing and shtick and gimmicks? I mean, does it really matter? Do you try not to do like, a gimmick, or some of it works, but how do you plan that when you're looking at, what you want the fans to experience?
So I'll speak from two different vantage points here, and I'll be quick about it. But let's say in Fort Myers we had one team, or Vancouver, to use another example. So I'm not just specific, but you get your team together, your thought process team together, and you kick around ideas, and you say, hey to yourselves, hey, you know what? Nothing ventured, nothing gained. We don't know until we try, and then we dress it up. I mean, when we have our promo meetings, we had basically a 5-point plan. How does it impact media? Does it put butts in seats? A term in our industry. Does it drive the bottom line? Does it get us attention and residual fan base? Like, will people want to come back? Because usually if we do something that's a little different, you want to impact a new audience, and then give them show them a really good time. So I'll go on a quick one here too. It's like, let's say with this team here, when you have two teams, you have the Palm Beach Cardinals and the Jupiter Hammerheads. We play essentially, not to be too grand here, Matt, but we essentially go from Valentine's Day to Labor Day weekend with very few days off of baseball. So if you and your family, you and your friends are looking for something to do, we want to be on your entertainment horizon, on your calendar, your point of consideration. But I will say that when a storm cloud presents itself, you're going to say, hey, you know what? I'll go tomorrow night. I don't even need a pocket schedule or magnet schedule because there is a game virtually every night. So if there's a little bit of a deterrent or something else to do, I mean, you're going to put it off for another night. It's nothing against us. But that being said, is we got to give fans a reason to come to the game, because at the major league level, people navigate or identify with the name on the back of the jersey. If you and I say Judge, we know we're talking about Aaron Judge. If you say Shoei, we're talking about Ohtani. Those kind of things. We can identify with those things. Big Papi, whatever the name is. But at the minor league level, we're not really selling, and it goes back to the kids again, too. We're not selling or promoting the name on the back of the jersey. It's the one on the front. That's the one constant. So in our case, Palm Beach Cardinals and Jupiter Hammerheads are what we're promoting on the front of the jersey, because as the guys are at minor league level, as you said, yes, it's great for the team to win, but the guys have to do, just like in the front office or any business, you got to do what's said of you or asked of you in your lane. Do well at second base, and you'll create your own opportunities, and you'll get moved up to Double-A. The moment we have a youngster loving LJ Jones, the right fielder, the kid gets the shirt. He's so in love with LJ. Comes up to the next game. Where's LJ? Oh, LJ got moved up to Double-A, and then the kid's crying. So what we try to do is really promote the name, the constant on the front of the jersey, because we can control that. And the name on the back of the jersey, it's part of the process. You hope for their sake, the players individually, that they ascend, and that name on the back of the jersey changes all the time. So if that isn't a corny enough story, but the other thing is that, to finish the thought, is we got to give people a reason to come to the game. So whether it's, XYZ night on a Tuesday when you're already thinking about something else, or you see that little cloud in the sky, we've got to get, your interest in advance and secure that without, ultimately, sure, I'd love to have you buy in advance tickets. But if just having your interest to come out to the game because it's Thirsty Thursday or Happy Hour Friday or bobblehead giveaway on Saturday, that kind of thing. So that's why promotions are just so innately important at the minor league level, because they're not coming out to see the visiting team because, there is no Jacob deGrom or Tim Tebow on the other team that's drawing that interest.
There might be, but it'd be the luck.
Right. That's, like you said before, icing on the cake. But otherwise, it's just the Lakeland Tigers, and you'll get a little bit of it.
But how do you navigate? Because you're the GM of the Palm Beach Cardinals.
Yes, sir.
The Jupiter Hammerheads play in your same stadium in the same league.
Yes.
You operate separately.
Right. So
you're saying if I miss, I want to come Wednesday, but then I come Thursday. Now there's a difference between giving my money to the Palm Beach Cardinals and the Jupiter Hammerheads. And also now I think the promotions that are going on and the deals that go on with the Palm Beach Cardinals are different than the deals and promotions that go on with the Jupiter Hammerheads.
Well, it's almost like it's a non-marital cohabitation situation here. So we are a partnership where everything is shared. I have a cohort named, as I mentioned before, Jamie Toole, great guy. He handles the Jupiter squad. As you can imagine, there has to be somebody overseeing that interest on the Marlins side. I handle the Cardinals side. And so we work really well together, and our entire team works well together. And what we do is there's just some subtle differences. You know, if you want to see XYZ player, well, and he's on the Hammerheads, you need to come out when the Hammerheads are the home team or they're the visiting team against the Palm Beach Cardinals. So, you know, it's fun. Again, you know, you can, I said it before, you can control your variables, but if I could go on a quick mention here, you know, we have a team that gets together and we try to be equitable about everything. You know, you've got, we've got Taylor Burris. Taylor's our in-game host, and she's, you know, packed with enthusiasm. She's talking on the wireless mic through all the, keeping the fans engaged. And you'll see that consistent approach, whether it's a Jupiter game or a Palm Beach game. And, you know, that's her talent. She does that in conjunction with Ryer, Gordon, Garden Schwartz, you know, alphabet soup is what we call them, or, you know, by a vowel. You know, there's these guys, we all work together, and you try to deliver some consistent messaging, yet you have some things unique. We don't play Baby Shark for the Palm Beach Cardinals, but you might for the Jupiter Hammerheads, you know, that kind of thing. So, we again, the team has to work well together like any team, right? You know, you have divisions so that you have a Hammerheads staff and then you have a Palm Beach Cardinals staff, but at the same time, you try to share strengths and knowledge points. So,
Jamie, I've spoken with Jamie. He's moving on, correct?
Yes, you're correct, sir. Yes.
So this was
sorry to call you sir.
I had a guy, I actually talked to him yesterday at my old company, and he used to call me sir. I'm like, please don't call me sir.
Yeah, you told me that before, so that's what I remember. But you know, I really enjoy what I do, and listen, you know, something I was listening to Todd Radom, who I really enjoy. I listened to him on the Wolff Den just recently, and I mean that was such an engaging. Again, you talk about people in the business that are so unique, and you can learn so much from. I loved his conversation that the two of you had. And I didn't know, because I always hear him on Baseball Tonight with Buster Olney, and you know, I hear him talking on there, but I did not know of his hockey interest. I thought that was so interesting. Love hearing these things. I forgot where I was going with this, but you know, it's that
was the early days of the Wolff Den.
Yeah, well, yeah. So I mean, you guys talking were just great, and you see, you know, how things are they just flowed so well. And again, when we have our meetings and we have our planning meetings, which we'll be stepping into next week, we're offsite planning meetings, and promos are just such an important piece of the puzzle. Again, it's all about the fan experience, fan first, fan friendly, affordable. When you have a game every night, you need to generate a good sense of interest. And we come from different strengths. I said, hey, Ryer's up in the booth. He's creative. You might not see his face. Taylor's down on the field. You see her face. She's bubbly. She's effervescent. And you got Jordan Treadway and his team heading up the grounds, and the grounds are known all across the country. No joke. I cannot tell you how much I hear about the grounds, but excuse me, when I mentioned Roger Dean Chevrolet Stadium, they're like, oh my gosh, how do you guys do it? And I'll say, talk to Jordan and his team. And the really cool thing about Jordan is that not only is he, you know, head of the groundskeeper, comes from a great background as such. He's a guy who played the game at the college level, very established shortstop, you know, and so he comes from good vision, not just with a green thumb. He comes here with good baseball vision. So, again, you have these strengths all over the place, and again, one of the things you need at our level too, you need great accountancy work, for lack of better terms. Imagine doing that when you have two teams as opposed to one.
Yeah.
So we have Pam Sartori and Lynn Besaw, who do a wonderful job over here with that, a thankless job. But listen, it starts with, you know, the other people, Rachel Dewar, who's new to us, but just hitting the streets, talking to everybody, you know, and getting people excited about the product, because you got a lot of games. We ask a lot from the community. So each night's got to be different. And I talked about, let's say, Jordan, you know, having that great baseball background. We've got Amanda Seymour. She played college basketball. Victor DiDiego. I could make up any old line on Victor, but tremendous athlete. Yeah, I like to say he's a spike ball champion of 5'6" area, but he's not. But you know, just have fun with things. And Victor's the kind of guy who's He's out here doing some every night. He's worked out with Mark Wahlberg, come and see Victor DiDiego. So, and he's one of our guys in the front office. So everybody plays a significant role and at every level. So the planning takes a strength from every department. Walter Herrera, you name it. Everybody's got a piece of the puzzle.
Yeah, I think you talked about affordable. To me, if I ever owned a venue or a stadium or an event like that, I'm selling very affordable beer and water and hot dogs because I want them to spend the money on elsewhere. If the average person says, I'm going to spend about, you have a better idea, but let's say I'm going to spend $50 or I'm going to spend $100 for my family. Why not give them the best value for that? If you're getting the $100 anyway, it doesn't matter. They're going to spend $100 and not a penny more. Let's see, what can I do that's going to be the best value for them? And then start thinking like, well, I'd like rather than have memorabilia and collectibles and stuff than have to pay $9-10 for a beer that is gone and whatever, and a water, stuff that costs me a quarter.
Yeah.
So I think it's one of the things that you see around in minor league baseball a lot. But also people aren't going to spend. They're not going to spend a ton of money to go to a minor league baseball game. So, in fairness, some people don't want to spend a lot of money to go to the Marlins game for professional baseball. And they've done very well for themselves in a lot of respects. I think it's a good environment. I like indoor baseball. I think there's some cool things at Marlins Stadium. But there's so much competition for your entertainment dollar.
Right. If you don't provide value, it'll, in my opinion, it'll bite you. And yes, you got to protect your margins, etc. But when it comes down to it, an empty seat generates no revenue. So kind of playing to your heart right there. It's like, listen, whatever your loss leader is, whether it's a ticket to get them inside or it's drive your fan cost index, drive your per cap. The only way to do that is have people to your ballpark. Don't get the money grab and sell them a $15 beer and say, hey, I got it. Because they're not going to come back with the same smile on their face and get two. If you give them value and there's perceived value and there's understood value, then they're going to come back and say, hey, I'll do that again. Yeah. And I'll buy one for my friend.
It's the comedy club model. Like my wife and I were in Naples and I got an email for a free ticket to see Jamie Kennedy.
Oh, yeah.
Great. Like he was great, but I'm not going to pay $20 a ticket to see Jamie Kennedy. But I went there and we got a couple drinks each. And, next thing you know, we spent $50-$60 between the two of us, which is better than, if you just sold me a ticket, now I don't have to buy anything. Maybe I'm not buying beer. We went for dinner beforehand. So I think there's value into getting the people in the place and they're going to spend money. And who knows? Yeah. Even if they don't spend money, let's say I come in for free. There's value for me to come in for free, go see your team and have a great experience. And I didn't spend a dime on you guys.
Right.
There's a lot of value in having a fan like that.
But you tell your neighbors you had a good time and you seek out good entertainment value over Roger Dean Chevrolet Stadium. You can't put a price tag on that, or you can't put a price on that. Excuse me. That is wonderful. I got to ask you a silly question. Was it Captain Brian's that you went to, the comedy club?
No, they haven't. It's now called Off the Hook Comedy Club.
Oh, yeah, Off the Hook. Yeah. No, that's great. They do some great advertising. And again, that awareness is right there. And you said it was Jamie Kennedy, right?
Jamie Kennedy, yeah, he was really funny. Did a great job.
Yes. But no, again, you had a good time. You've captured my interest right now talking about it. It makes you want to go see a comedy show. Again, you had a good experience, and something got you there. What's the lost leader of one ticket?
If I could recommend a comedy show, Nate Bargatze is coming to the Kravis Center on the 9th or 10th, whatever that Sunday is of next. I think it's next weekend already. I think I'm going to be there. He's a very, very underrated comedian.
You're a great hype man. Now I know about Nate. You already gave me a promotion. Everything's going well for me today. Thank you.
It's a great. It goes well for everyone every day on the Wolff Den. That's why that's how it works. Well, let's go all the way back to the beginning because you're a baseball guy.
Yes, sir.
How did you become a baseball guy?
So I grew up in Toronto. I did all my schooling, played hockey, played all my sports. But hockey was something that all of us Canadians just that's the rite of passage. And I was traveling down that path. I wanted to finish up some schooling, and I was at one place, Bishop's University. And I went to George Brown College. Yada yada. I needed to finish up an internship, and I'm telling you, I applied to a gazillion sports teams. And I was doing this in October, November up in frigid Toronto at the time. And, all that was great. And I could name you on one hand the number of people that even responded to me. And I would have worked indoor lacrosse, soccer, outdoor football, whatever, any sport I wanted to get in and get that experience. It was going to be unpaid internship to finish my sports marketing degree. And one of the few places that responded to me was Mike Veck in Fort Myers, Florida. And boy, you know what I mean? In a November climate up in Toronto, I said, you better believe it, I'm going to go down there. I'd love it. And Mike said, hey, I can't pay you, but hopefully you'll have a good time and get some great experience. I did that, went down there. I loved it. I realized very, very quickly that this was my kind of environment, and I was not going to be throwing at any point. Even if the team, it's a horrible thing to say, especially in this climate, but even if the team got struck by a flu bug or whatever, everybody's down, I was not throwing batting practice at any point. Check your ego at the door. You are not going on the field unless you're in a mascot suit, Seymour, and learn how to sell. I didn't know anybody in the market. I remember one guy giving me some tips. So just call up your friends or call up a place you worked before or family. I didn't have any of those there. So I realized really quickly that if I wanted to stay, I had to contribute. And I love the atmosphere. I was the youngest there. So I was, I said, I got to make this happen. I got to do something. So, I mean, shucks, I learned pretty quickly in your line of business where, I learned how to sell tickets. Sell tickets, just be an ambitious salesperson, be relentless. And again, I established some relationships with people back 20 years ago that I still have today. And it's a people business. I still stay in touch with them. Really enjoyed it. And again, it doesn't take a great degree of I take nothing away from schooling, but I mean, like it's just common sense when you treat people well and figure out the atmosphere of the place and take care of people and they'll take care of you. That's a simple premise. And Mike Beck taught that to us. Yeah.
So I always used to think it has to be that way. But the problem is there's people who don't act that way, who get rewarded for bad behavior. We need to stop that. Like
in any industry, but yes.
Well, you brought up hockey. So we're going to give a score point to you here.
Thank goodness your camera's not the good. I've kind of got hockey teeth, so that's a good thing. That's why I was fighting for.
I have an implant. This is an implant. My friend Brent, I don't know if he's still listening. He's a big supporter of the show. But when I had my tooth out and I had a fake one in, we used to go to the bars and he would get a kick out of when I would take my tooth out and just walk around looking like a hockey player.
Yeah, Alex Ovechkin.
Since you're Canadian, we're gonna rag you a little bit. Is Canada ever going to win another Stanley Cup?
Let's hope so. The Leafs have not won in my lifetime. I used to know.
You know when the last one is? I had to look it up. But you know when the last one is?
1999?
1993, Canadians.
Okay, yeah, Montreal, yeah. So very good buddy of mine was Justin Molson when I went to school in Bishops. And I thought he had the nickname just because it was, his stature or whatever. And anyways, it was true to the family, and they own the Canadians. And this was the most humble guy I've met. Never would have known it. But anyways, yeah, he rubbed that in my face a lot because I was a Leafs fan, and I fit in like a sore thumb in small town French Canada being a Leafs fan. So I quickly was quiet about that.
Right around that time, they won 7 in a row. Canada won 7 in a row in 8 out of 10, and now they haven't won in almost 30 years. Yeah,
I thought with the new system this year, I joked that there's got to be a really good chance in one of the teams to get in to the Stanley Cup Finals. But hey, listen, Tampa's playing great. And you're a Devils fan, is that right?
I grew up a Devils fan. I root for the Panthers too. Now
that's right. I did know that. That's why I joked with you before. I used the schizophrenic line because I think I heard you mention before that the Panthers are good one year and then just a building program the next. So, I really like hockey, and that was kind of the natural path was getting into hockey. But I was lucky. Mike called me, and I really liked the way baseball marketed itself. I just thought they were way ahead of others, and that's how I got into baseball. And it wasn't once I saw the atmosphere, I was a part of it. I like to think though, anybody in this industry that grows and puts in some good effort and energy will not only reap the benefits of the enthusiasm of the marketplace and their job, but they can take those skills to somewhere else. Like I think I might've mentioned to you before, it's kind of grand, but I like to think, hey, I could step outside of this realm and work in promotions in music, or I could maybe work with a soccer team, basketball team, football, whatever it might be, special events, whatever it might be.
The music industry, the concert industry, the festival industry could use some minor league baseball.
Love that. Yeah. I mean, and it's fun for me to see really quick is to see the major league teams, whether it's baseball or other sports, adopting some of the things that I heard, some of the guys well before me talk about the simple premise of being good to your fans, bringing your players to the entrance gates, throw a bit of credit towards the Pittsburgh Pirates. The Pirates have done that on Fan Appreciation Day or opening day. They've had their players at the front gates for a number of years now.
How great was we might have talked about this when we had a call. How great was the Pirates sending that home run ball to their season ticket holder when it landed in their seat when nobody was in the stands?
Yeah, I mean that was so cool. We talked about that preseason, like that they were going to do that, or the other teams that autographed those cardboard cutouts and sent them to the fans or donated them. There was just so much uniqueness.
Andrew, now every time you mention something, now you got all this stuff, and I'm going off camera again.
Hey,
I got to show you all my. This is just proof that I have way too much shit in my house. So here's my ticket time machine cutout, which was I recognize. Was at the basketball game in Gainesville, the Gators, and this was my personal one, which was in the swamp, the cutouts. So I got two cutouts, which was it's pretty cool.
So listen, and if you don't mind me saying, is listening to a number of the Wolff Den episodes. I mean, you've had some really cool people on. Danny Werfel, that must have been fun for you, right?
Yeah, I only had 30 minutes with him, which I really appreciate his time. But I was rushed. If you watch it, I was trying to think like, I want to get this, and it's hard. Like people say, you shouldn't do too long, and I'm like, I need to do an hour because if I'm doing 30 minutes or 20 minutes. I'm having a surface level conversation. We're getting into nothing. And you're probably talking about something that I could just click on a video and get elsewhere. But I've had some really great guests on. You know who I've tried to reach out to who you might be able to help with?
Yes.
Zach. You had him in your stadium, Zach Hempel. You've had him in your stadium.
Yeah. I thought you said Zach. Oh, man, I was going to talk about that. Listen, I talk about creative people in our office. We have a gentleman named Andrew Miller, and Andrew's really good at his creativity especially around the baseball side of things. I'd be discounting him if I said that he handles a lot of our social media, Andrew. But anyways, he reached out to Zach on a whim, and he said, wouldn't it be kind of crazy? Well, because we have no fans on certain nights. I didn't mention this before. We don't have our gates open to the general public on certain nights of the week. Just really to drive interest to other dates. It sounds terrible, but maybe to save a few of our overhead costs. It's a fiscal decision that we made and wanted to try for a year. And this was the time to do it.
You're the Chick-fil-A of minor league baseball.
Yes. So we taking care of our employees for a couple of days. But so, we had Zach out here and again, it was Andrew's idea and it was well executed. And gosh, it got us so many hits, man, so many followers, so much notoriety. It was fun. Again, those are those little things. If you don't try, you'll never know. But you get a lot of people that jump on board later and say, "Oh, that's a great idea." But there were naysayers before. Jesse Cole personifies that too. And I'll say Jesse used to come to a lot of the same conferences that I went to back in the day. And I'm taking nothing away from him, but he implemented the things that we talked about. Not we, but the whole conference talked about. To his credit, he now has lightning in a bottle because
you don't need to reinvent the wheel
to try it,
right?
He has to get to try it. Like man, people will say to me, "Hey, man, can you get me any tickets to a game up there?" Often if they're driving in the Georgia area or whatever this, and I'll say to them, "Hey, you know what? I can't, but they've been sold out preseason. They were sold out, yada yada." I encourage you to go in there. Just go have fun tailgate with the park guys that are dressed up as kangaroos, the money takers. Tailgate with the guy in stilts or the players walking through the parking lot with the drum line. I mean, there's so much fun to be had. It's like a Gators game, tailgating at a Gators game. So
yeah, I drove my mom home from New Jersey to Florida, and I stopped at the stadium to meet with Jesse, and I got a tour, and it was great. And Jesse was on the Wolff Den, and we appreciate that.
Yes.
One thing I'll say, I'm not afraid to call people out. Jesse, I've reached out to him and his team many times to do something to help commemorate all the stuff he's doing, and haven't been able to get any traction with that. But if you're talking about how great your stuff is and you're sold out and we should be commemorating, we should try everything. Let's do something for the fans. There's no reason not. There's zero risk in it. So I'm hoping next season we'll get to do some stuff with Jesse and the Bananas. But they do a great job, and he's exactly what minor league baseball is supposed to be. And you guys have meetings and you talk to each other and you're friends with each other. So in some respects, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. Whatever's
Right.
working out, it's a copycat. You do something here in Palm Beach, and they do something in Savannah, and then you can talk about someone doing something in Myrtle Beach, and then go to the West Coast and
Yep.
in the middle of Idaho. It doesn't really matter. No one's going to be like, oh man, we've seen that, done that, because you're not going to be the same audience. So I think there's value into, when something hits, let's try it.
Something borrowed and something new.
It might not work for you.
Right. But you'll never know if you don't try. And Jesse and his team are not risk adverse. And that's one thing that, we're going to go in with a clean scope next week, and we're going to look at things. And, hey, the first and foremost focus will be fans. But we've got to look at, how do we get better? How do we further engage our fans? How do we entice your interest to come out here? How do we get on your entertainment landscape? Because we've got to try a little harder with all these games. Like I said before, we ask a lot of our community, we've got to give them a reason to come here. So we've got to keep those promotions fun. And
off the top of your head, what's next for minor league baseball and the experience, like just in general? Because you have to try and figure out what's new, and you guys have won a bunch of the the Larry McPhail awards for promotions, and we forgot to mention this, but 3 times you've been the minor league baseball executive of the year, so you kind of know what you're doing a little bit.
My hype man, thank you. No, and again, that's a product of a great team, people around you. But I'm lucky in those things. And what's next? I mean, some of the conventional wisdom is got to be it, which is being customer service first, providing good quality entertainment, good value, all those things that sound cliche, but you have to deliver on them. Like I said, like you were saying just a couple minutes ago, you can't talk about all this, that, and whatever else, and then not take a call. We've got to know what's going on. We're going to thank our area, our industry, our community. That we're going to be celebrating our 25th anniversary here at Roger Dean Chevrolet Stadium. Broke ground in 97, opened in 98. So it's going to be a fun year. We're going to have a commemorative 25th anniversary logo. We're going to celebrate, 25 years of support and thank a lot of people. That's going to be really special for us. And I don't mean to be so dynamic with my hands here, but
no, that's a good speaker, right? You got to do what's changed the most since when you first started minor league baseball to now, besides social media, obviously, but.
Yes, and I was just, and 100% there. That was going to be one of my first, but it's the realizing, and this was one that starts from top down. I think Major League Baseball first took the chances, but Major League Baseball now realizes, hey, we can't be too cool. We got to reach out to our fans. We've got to have, like I said, the Pittsburgh Pirates players at the entrance gates. We've got to engage. And authentic engagement, I think, is critical. Certainly for us here in this marketplace excuse me. You can't take anybody for granted. Listen, really quick, is one of the first things
your audio and video is chopped up a little bit.
I'm sorry.
You there?
Yeah. Gosh, you got that engagement level at 25th anniversary. It really worked for us too on a year when hopefully back towards the norm is developing that fan base and always having a succession plan, filling the funnel. And they'll sound like silly terms, but if we've got a kids club, we've got to keep building the kids club. If we've got a birthday party for, Zach, okay, Zach, we're not going to call him back for his 10th, 11th, 12th birthday, or we can, but we got to keep filling the void. Does he have younger siblings? Did they have a good time? Are they coming out? Same with the kids club, same with the Silver Sluggers club. So, maybe putting together their own baseball camp, all these things they got to develop the game and the interest and further the interest and keep continuing that. We got to start at the grassroots, because if you engage the kids, you've got their interest. Eventually, if maybe you're a decision maker in the household, impact that person, and you've got a good fighting chance. But you've got to deliver that. You've got to deliver that message and engage and develop that interest and deliver on it. So again, if we can get the kids involved, they're going to want to come out. Historically, we've lost the kids once they get about 15 to 19, maybe when they get that independence and they can drive. We might lose them for a little bit. But you got to know that. You got to know the trends, the ebb and flow, and be able to fill those voids. Because if we miss that wave at some point, all of a sudden you've got a big gap. So they said before, it's a lot more fun playing with a full stadium than not. And the players like it. It's a lot easier to do your promotions. The energy in the stadium is that more contagious, and people leave with that feeling of a high if there's more people here. So we can't miss that beat.
Aside, obviously, Jesse and the Bananas doing some great work. Who else would you give a shout out for in minor league baseball? Who's doing great stuff?
Oh man, unquestionably, some of the teams that I've been lucky enough to see do so well is, listen, I won't kid you, the St. Paul Saints are leaders in the industry for being courageous in terms of promotions. St. Paul Saints, you mentioned one of them before, the Charleston River Dogs. I know you did it by accident, but Charleston does a phenomenal job. And that whole network of people spawn up to Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp. And then, there's a very good team, the Akron Rubber Ducks up in Akron, Ohio. There's a wealth of good teams. Like, listen, that do wonderful work. Excuse me. And, it's fun to watch. And like you said, something borrowed is something new in a different market. When I was in Vancouver, I didn't include Vancouver in my recent couple teams that I named there because they've had a tough year being in Canada. They weren't able to operate because of COVID. They actually played in Hillsborough, which is a very successful team, has their own fan base in Hillsborough. The Vancouver team played there. So they had a tough year. When they go back to Vancouver, though, they're going to do very, very well. Their stadium's going to be ready for them. So anyways, those teams are really, really, really fun to watch. There's a wealth of other teams. I'm doing an injustice to a number of teams. But
I was just trying to get a couple.
Yeah, no, those teams, the Hudson Valley Renegades, who now are an affiliate of the Yankees. Everybody had a trying year, but you really see who can still get it done and still has that mindset and can deliver it on certain things. You asked about the changes in the industry. There's just a whole new angle on the retail side, the promotion side that you see a lot in merchandising. And you go back to Todd Radom and conversations there. It's really, really interesting. And, one of the leaders in that industry is Brandiose. They came out with a full rebrand package. And some of the teams that you can see it evidently, the Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp. I mean, when they did their rebrand up there, I think, Matt, you and I have talked about this before, and they went from the Suns to the Jumbo Shrimp. They did an A to Z makeover that really, really works. And, one of their premises was just engaging in the community, and they've done a wonderful job. I mean, you could look at their website and even their Vice wear, like the stuff they do is so much fun, and their uniforms are so great. And again, that's where you take that energy and you borrow it and you move it over here. And
she got fun names, fun mascots.
Oh, yeah.
Logos. I mean, there's a lot you can do with that.
Yeah.
Especially as a minor league team that, again, you can't get away with as a major league. When I was working for Worldwide Ticket Craft,
yes,
we did the inaugural season for the Iron Pigs, which is a
very successful,
great organization up in Pennsylvania. Yep. And but there was a lot of fun with that.
And the food tie-ins are very, very popular. Like, we kicked around ideas for a couple of years now. And, one of the things, I'll go back to Todd Radom, but when he said we have like a heritage brand with the Cardinals, which he was point on, like he was bang on about that in the Yankees. He said, I remember you guys were talking about a red Yankees cap and how it frustrates you. And he said, well, you can have that for your fashion piece, but on field, you got to have the tradition. It was very interesting what he said, and I caught that vibe. I really enjoyed that. But again, you see a lot of the risk taking, a tie-in with food, anything that's indicative of the marketplace. And often with Brandiose, you'll see two words. You'll see the Rumble Ponies, the Fightin' Phils, all those fun names. Again, two names, but Trash Pandas. Trash Pandas sold $2 million in revenue just in merchandising alone before they throw on a first pitch. Just great stories like that.
They do very good content on social media,
don't they? Yes.
Did a very good job.
So, yeah, like and I keep saying it here, but something about it is when we go into our meetings next week, we'll be looking at what works in certain markets, and hey, how can we take that strength and just model it over here? I mean, copying is the finest form of flattery, right? So, I know
food and beverage. That's what I would say. Food and beverage for two reasons. One, South Florida's got some really, really good breweries, even in Palm Beach, excellent breweries. And the second thing is, we go on a sports trip every year. We go to Major League Baseball, college football, and pro football. And the baseball environment it's so much better than the football. The tailgating is great before, but in stadium, baseball is it. There's stuff to do around. You can walk around, get a beer. The food is always much better in baseball stadiums than it is in football stadiums. And you have the ability to kind of get creative with food. So that's what I say. I would look into some really good food stuff and and beer. That's what I would suggest.
And something too, Matt. It's it's a lot of the trends you see too. Like, let's say food pairings with unique beers. I like the fact that you said microbrews, and don't know how that get by me, but you're right. The over-the-top food ventures, people love, like a grand, a hot dog that is 14 feet long and fries that are overbaked, and then that becomes a merchandising play. And there's so much fun to be had. Like, you look at the silly names that are around the leagues, but there's so many great ones, and a lot of them stem from foods, over-the-top foods that they sell as a signature dish or item at their ballparks, and you can have so much fun with that. Like, the Cardinals Sin hot dog is what we had the first year I was here. We introduced that, and basically it was an over-the-top hot dog. It didn't sell, but it was a fun talking point. I
go to a baseball game. I look for the most outrageous thing that they're selling in that stadium, and I get it.
Yes. Yeah, I was at Target Field in Minnesota a couple of years ago for the All-Star game, and they had a cocktail that was super long, and it had a piece of celery that was out of it that was large as a baseball bat, and then it had a strip of bacon.
Yeah, I had a Bloody Mary with bacon. It had a bacon, a chicken finger, a shrimp. It was $30. It was in Texas. It was a meal.
And Ben Hill, traveling with him or following him, like Benjamin Hill from minor league baseball, he's always got designated eaters. Anything he can't eat or finish, he still wants to buy for the notoriety, and he loves it. It's all part of the experience. It's almost like I bought the T-shirt. There's so much fun to be had. Yeah, and that's why you got to keep it fun. You can't take yourself too seriously in this game. And one of the things about the game, I keep saying you can't control it. One of the things about Major League Baseball, who now is taken over the governorship of minor league baseball, their governance, is they're trying to increase balls in play. So the activity itself, the breaks in the action are just limited. So balls in play, so actual action, is just that much more engaging. It's really important. So those are some of the faces, some of the changes in baseball. You talked a lot about this year being a dead ball. And boy, the home runs at the major league level have not been dead. So the game, like any sport, it's driven by offense. And I think we're seeing a fun season at the major league level. I hope that translates next year into our spring training and then springboard into our minor league season.
Yeah, so much. We're running out of time here, but so much to talk about. Major League Baseball taking over is a big thing because they need minor league baseball.
Heck yeah.
They don't need necessarily the Savannah Bananas because it doesn't matter to them. But the teams of the farm league, they need them in some form or fashion. If you're going to do it, might as well do it well, right? Try and generate entertainment or interest or money. Would you work for Major League Baseball, a team, or it's minor league baseball? Is it?
Shoot, and if the opportunity presented itself in the right way, absolutely. There's something to be said about that major league appeal. It's just, and it's cool. You're talking to your neighbors. Yeah, he works at, But you know what? Beyond that, my biggest fear, and fear should not be a driver or something to hold you back, was that, hey, listen, I cut my teeth in decided promotions. So would I all of a sudden, if I'm good at ticket sales, all of a sudden I go and work with a major league club in ticket sales, then I'm just, that's my path for 30 years. Now I know some people have done that and done very, very well with it and have families and all that fun stuff. And I just, I thought, would that take the fun element out of the game for me? I could be working anywhere. And I just, I chose not to go down that path. And so to answer your question, in the right session, or in the right situation, it might be tremendously interesting, But as it stands right now, I love the fact that no 2 days are the same, and you can have your hands in so many different things at the minor league level, and you can make such a strong impact in your community. You can at the major league level too, but I can walk outside these doors right here, street level, and greet somebody 50 feet from the door, and and like to think that I'm a part of that community. So that form of engagement is really enticing to me here at this minor league level, and I really enjoy it. So the moment I don't, I'll let you know, but I really enjoy it.
If you could go back and you couldn't choose baseball, what kind of job would you have?
And it would be in another sport if I can use that, or it would be in some form of promotions. It would, just because like I said, there's nothing more gratifying to people tell me they had a good time. I don't put a dollar value on that. Sure, I've got some bills I need to pay, but that
speaks to a measure. I talk about a measurable data all the time, and
Sure.
people want to put a dollar sign on everything, but you just don't know. Like that fan who came in who paid nothing and bought nothing, he tells 3 people who tell 3 people who tell 10
Right.
people, and all of a sudden it's, you're on Sports Center. Who the hell knows? I have no idea.
Yeah.
It's
I mean,
crazy.
and we talked about it before, but that is one of the most fun bragging points when y'all get together in your industry meetings and you talk about, hey man, I saw you on ESPN. You guys are silly, crazy uniforms, in the toad races or whatever it is. It's whatever you dreamt up in a college dorm at some point you thought was too silly. Give it a try.
Well, you won the Larry McPhail. You've been executive of the year. What would be the best thing for you on the from a career perspective to do? Would it be to get another one of those? Is there something else that you haven't achieved that you would like to get personally?
Well, something is I was very lucky to be involved with a significant renovation project in Fort Myers, and I learned under great people there. I mean, I walked around with a hard hat and a clipboard looking like a nerd, but really it's the one time I was quiet and I just listened because I didn't want to show my ignorance by speaking. But I learned a lot from that. We're going to endeavor one of those over here in a couple of years at Roger Dean Chevrolet Stadium, and I'm excited to see, to really unveil what that's going to have for our fans, for it's going to be really cool on the player procurement side and player development side, but really what the fun part is going to be for our fans when they can gravitate to an area that's wow, gives you that wow factor. So that's going to be fun for me. I think really quick is to finally answer your question is I think what I would really enjoy if I'm just talking business wise is not family, but business. It would be, having such incremental growth here. Let's say, if we could say, hey, you know what? Last year we averaged 2,000 fans on average, let's say, okay, and then the next year we averaged 3,000, and we keep growing to a point where we have a form of relevance that is got on a level of, like, let's say, some of the teams I compared it to earlier, Jacksonville, St. Paul Saints, where, again, you keep growing, and at some point maybe, this would be over the top, but hey, maybe you're sold out for minor league.
There's a lot, and there's a lot more competition for you than there is for them. Yeah,
especially with 2 teams. But again, that's why I called it incremental growth as opposed to being sold out. But
just real quick, and
yes.
then I'll let you go with the final question we ask everyone. What percentage of people in the stands are season ticket holders, and what percentage are just coming for that game?
Well, we have a loyal season ticket holder fan base, and at spring training, it's a significantly different number. The appeal of the Cardinals, that's a fantastic season ticket holder number. Marlins, same thing, very nice number. At the minor league level, the percentage-wise, it's nominal. I'm going to be 100% honest with you. It's nominal, but I'll say this, and I know you're a numbers guy, but Matt, though that nominal number, the number of people that redeem and come to those games every night are the ones that really serve us so well. And that's not the word serve. That's not the proper word. They treat us so well, and we so much appreciate, if I can say that. I hedged around the numbers, but you can't putting a price tag on things. That loyalty, that deliverance each night, it's wonderful. And that's established by people before me. I didn't mention this guy, as Mike Bauer did a lot of work here in the community. So we follow his lead on a day-to-day basis. And again, we keep trying to grow over here. And like I said, one last thing is that I do want to say is I'd love it for the people here for us all to have a great season of health, growth, and that would be success. We can't control what the wins and losses, so that's how we score.
Yeah, and it takes a real team. It's a cliche, but it takes a real team to run the team. And I like that you were dropping names about your team members who are integral in the success of the Cardinals and Roger Dean. So, and you're doing great things. I'm looking forward to that. You got me looking forward to next season. Now I got to wait. I'm at least giving you stuff that you can do like next Sunday. You're giving me stuff I got to wait 6 months for now.
Oh yeah, I know. Like, imagine if we could do it right now. Like, I mean, we could have done a Roberto Clemente day. We could have done, which would have been September 15th. But anyways, and we could do like a preview to the playoff. Maybe it's a World Series watch party or whatever it is. There's opportunities right here. We got a guy in our office, Justin Valverde, who's always doing off-season events and keeping the place focal. So again, it's all about growth and creating awareness.
Maybe more concerts. Can you have more concerts there?
Yeah. Can you stretch out a year a little bit for us so we maybe get a 371 as opposed to 365? Because we're coming with good things, and that's thanks to these guys hustling over here. But man, with you giving us this forum, we're going to grow that much further too. And I'm being serious. I thank you, man.
This is where it all starts. So we'll let you go on the same question we let everybody go. you can spend a day with anyone in the world, and they have to be living. You can't be related to them. Who are you picking, and what are you guys going to do? We've done outreach. We're going to continue to do outreach for all of our guests to try and make it happen. So make it a good one.
Okay, this one could be hard then, because if I said Malcolm X, so
they have to be alive. They have to be alive.
But I was trying to stretch it, make it hard. But you know, oh gosh, and I was even prepared for this one, so it shows you. I don't know. I'll go with let's say I hung out with Denzel Washington for a minute and just learn from him.
Great, one of my favorite actors. Do you have a favorite Denzel movie?
Do I have a favorite? Oh man, I'd probably have to say this one's dark, but Training Day, it was pretty real. But I liked a lot of the ones where it's football. But I'll tell you what, Training Day impacted me. I was, man.
Yeah, that's a hell of a movie.
How about you? What's your favorite Denzel?
I like Remember the Titans. He did a movie called Fallen. With, what the hell is his name?
I love Remember the Titans.
Yeah, Remember Titans great. There's a movie called Fallen that he did, Fallen, which was excellent. What would you guys do?
You know what? I would try to listen. As you can tell, I can talk to an empty parking lot, so I would really try to listen. I might have to write down my questions and pass them to him just so I would listen. I know you can learn a lot more by listening.
Well, Denzel is on the list now. I think you're the first one to pick him. So on the list, we're going to do what we can to make this stuff happen for our guests. Eventually, I'm going to be big enough where it's going to happen, but we're on our way. You're doing great things. Continue to do great things. Excited to see what you come up with after your meetings for the promotions. Looking forward to coming out to the ballpark, and I'll come out to say hi before the season just to take a look around. I think you're available for Tuesday night's network. Are you going to be there?
Well, I mentioned to you. Listen, I have this little engagement. It's called an anniversary that I don't.
Oh, right, you were right.
Right. I don't want to miss that.
One of the anniversary excuses that I got.
Excuse.
There'll be others. There'll be others, and hopefully we'll do something in person. But happy anniversary, early.
Thank you, buddy.
Real pleasure to chat with you. You're doing great things, and you can tell. Like, people say they're about the fan, but you can tell in listening to everything you talk about how important it is for the experience to be for the fans. So check out Roger Dean Stadium. Check out the Cardinals. There's spring training coming up, and then next season. When do you announce your schedule?
So we announced our spring training schedule already. We're going into ticket renewals next week, and it's just, it's wonderful. The year turns like any old wheel; it doesn't stop turning, right? So this one is going to be fresh and new, and we're ready for everything. And it's going to be fun. I'm really looking forward. I got one little ask of you, man. When you get me in touch with Denzel, if you can bring him out for a first pitch too, so we can all share in on that would be fantastic.
All right.
Hey, thank you so much, man, for your time.
Yeah, great to see you, and have a great weekend. Happy early anniversary. Check us out next week. We got some great guests on the Wolff Den, and don't forget Win Again Academy, a sports and entertainment networking event on Tuesday night. Stay well, and we'll talk to you guys soon.